everybody. I'm Ben Tufts.
I'm Chase Wardian.
And this is OCD-60. This is a brand new podcast that we're starting. We're both big music nerds, and we're just going to sit here for an hour and talk about music. The way we do it is each episode we pick a year that we want to talk about. From now on, it's going to be randomized, but this year we picked 1994 because we both hadn't seen Airheads in a long time, and we wanted to watch that, and that came out in 1994. So
Right, and with music, we're definitely sticking towards the rock and metal genre.
Yes, absolutely, because that's what both of us are into. So,
right.
If you couldn't tell.
So, Airheads.
I mean,
we just watched it for the first time in how many years?
For me, it's been like 5 or 6 years, definitely.
Yeah, probably around like 7 or 8. But no, it was one of those movies that I remember watching on TV because we had cable still.
Yep. You and I probably watched the same airing of it, honestly.
Yeah, probably, with all these coincidences. But I mean, when I was like 12 or 13, I thought that was the funniest shit I had ever seen.
I thought it was hilarious. I mean, yeah, I loved it when I was like 13.
But then I was thinking about it, I'm like, am I still going to think this movie is funny, or was this like just not appealing to the older audience? And then we rewatched it, and it is still one of the funniest movies I've ever seen.
It honestly might be even funnier now that I'm older,
right.
you know? Yeah.
No, absolutely. But, I mean, Adam Sandler, his movies now are like hit or miss. But
yeah,
like back then
was,
and that was
he
early
was in his prime.
Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
Like that was early.
Yeah, that was 94. So I mean, that was.
I mean, we're still thinking like Waterboy and movies like that.
Yeah, I don't think Waterboy would come out for years. Even I think I'm not sure what year that movie was.
No, and then Steve Buscemi and then Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, Brendan Fraser, who fell off, but he was in some great movies back
absolutely.
then. The Mummy, I love The Mummy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then we watched it with my bandmates who had never seen it, and even watching it for the first time at 19, 20, they found it hilarious. So.
Right. So, if you haven't seen that movie, Airheads, took a little bit for us to find it.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to find. Track down a DVD. That's your best way to find it.
Yeah, that's how we did it.
Yeah.
No streaming services involved with that one.
Yeah. Or watch it on TV if it ever airs on TV again.
If you still have cable.
Yeah, if you still have cable. But yeah, if you're into rock and metal, especially like early 90s, late 80s hard rock, that's definitely a good movie to check out. Also, speaking of movies, and kind of tying this into one of the CDs there. Now, I know you haven't seen this movie, and I need to change that very soon.
Yes.
But Clerks also came out in 1994. And if you know me personally, you know I'm a huge fan of Kevin Smith. I watched Clerks for the first time when I was like 14, and it just blew my mind. I still love all of his movies, but the soundtrack to that movie is fantastic. It's such a low-budget indie movie that it almost seems like the soundtrack is just a bunch of songs that Kevin had in his collection. The theme is written by this band called Love Among Freaks, kind of a Faith No More funk rock type thing.
Okay.
Can't find anything about them online. I mean, they were never anywhere except for the Clerks soundtrack. I really think that they were a garage band from Kevin's hometown or something. Great song, though. Clerks by Love Among Freaks. It's on Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff.
Okay.
But Alice in Chains is on there. It's not on that copy of it, but it's on the bonus track edition of Stranger Than Fiction by Bad Religion.
Okay.
Leaders and Followers. That's a great song and a great scene. Like I said, Alice in Chains. What else is on there? Soul Asylum, I think, is on that soundtrack. Yeah, just a great soundtrack. Great movie too.
Sure. So I'm gonna start by asking you, do you have a favorite album from this year ever since we started like diving into when we started thinking about this and we decided we're doing this year by year?
Yeah.
You know a lot more about like the history of like when everything came out and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so,
I kind of know a lot of that stuff off the top of my head.
So do you have a favorite album from this year so far?
I do, actually. It's the one that's closest to me right here, When the Kite String Pops by Acid Bath.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you're very familiar with this album.
I've heard a couple songs off of it, but I have not listened to it all the way through.
I know I've showed you a couple songs off this album. I discovered this album because, I kind of look into rock and metal a lot online, and a lot of like people that I know online that are in the kind of metal scene always talked about this album, and I had never heard it. And then probably like 2 years ago or so, it would have been like 2 years ago, I decided to put it on. As you can see, if you're watching this, if you're listening, I'll describe it for you. But the album cover is a painting by John Wayne Gacy. It's a self-portrait, so obviously that's intriguing. And so I put the album on, and it blew my mind. There's no way to describe this album other than just insane. I mean, it's absolutely insane. It's like there's a lot of Jim Morrison influence in the lyrics, actually.
Okay.
They actually have a song called "Scream of the Butterfly," which, if you're familiar with The Doors, comes from a line in "When the Music's Over." He says, "I want to hear the scream of the butterfly."
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I mean, imagine if like Jim Morrison did meth and then wrote music that's like a combination of like death metal, doom metal, and psychedelic rock. It's just an absolutely insane album.
All right.
If you're into heavier music and you want just a unique experience that you will never, ever get anywhere else, or if you like weird, and I emphasize weird, just like poetic music, like lyrics in your music, check this album out. It's insane. Actually, they only ever released 2 albums. They released this one, and then another one, Pagan Terrorism Tactics, in 1996. And then their bassist was killed in a car accident, and they just said, okay, we're done. We're calling it quits. Without the bassist, it's not the band anymore. And there's actually rumors that Slipknot opened for them when they were first beginning. They've never been confirmed by anyone, but it's rumored that Slipknot opened for Acid Bath.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wild. Yeah, no, there's 2 that I'm torn between when it comes to my favorite album this year.
Yeah.
It's either Smash, which is on our table in CD format,
Yeah.
or it is Blue Album.
Okay. Yeah.
Blue Album, it has a special place. Like,
yeah, between those two, I would definitely go with Smash. Blue Album, freshman year, my friend Cornelius, shout out Cornelius if you're watching this, he was listening to Weezer, and he let me borrow his copy of the Blue Album. Now, this was before I had Apple Music, so I burned it onto my computer and listened to it. And, like,
right.
I knew Undone, I knew all those songs, but, like, hearing My Name's Jonas for the first time, Surf Wax America in the garage, like, just
right.
really, really good stuff.
No, absolutely. But, like, even with Smash, because I haven't seen Weezer yet. But
I have not.
A couple years ago, I saw Offspring, and it was really weird concert because I believe it was co-headlining.
Okay.
Because it was them and 311.
Who I'm personally not a huge fan of.
No,
Sorry,
I've
311 fans.
Never been a fan of 311 all that much. But I had finally got to see Offspring, and I was kind of surprised that his voice held up.
Dexter?
Yes.
Because Dexter actually has a pretty high voice.
He does. He has a very high voice, but it was a lot better than what I had expected. A lot better than the Vince Neil situation we just found out about. Like, not found out about. Well, got released.
We've known.
There's that but video. I didn't realize it was to that extent.
Well,
that is bad.
There's that video, Kickstart My Heart. Yeah, and the fact that they're charging. No, we're not bashing Motley Crue. I love Motley Crue.
I love Motley Crue, but Vince is not ready.
It's not. They're not in a good state.
No.
I also love Smash. So my introduction to Smash, and this kind of ties into another one of the albums on our table, Green Day was my first love musically. I mean, I was into American Idiot before I could really speak. I knew lyrics from that album.
Yeah.
So, I always loved Green Day, and my dad was in college in the 90s, so obviously he was all into that. And I was in probably like second grade, and we had a CD player in our kitchen. It actually hung from under one of our cabinets. God knows where that thing, I think we threw it out. But we always listened to music when we were cleaning the kitchen back before, like Bluetooth speakers and stuff.
Sure.
And he was like, oh, you like Green Day, check this album out. So, 8-year-old me over here listening to Smash. Bad Habit, great song, but probably shouldn't have been listening to it when I was 8 years old, but,
I mean, hey, like, what's the point? Like,
yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I love the Offspring. I'd love to catch them live. That is one of the best punk albums ever released.
Absolutely.
You got Self-Esteem. That's obviously the big one.
Right.
Come Out and Play. But
now, was it Come Out and Play that is essentially like the riff from the Slipknot song? Like,
yes.
Is that what
they ended from the new Slipknot album?
Right. I can't think of the name.
Yes.
But I remember listening to it for like months, and I'm like, what is this from?
I remember you showing me. Yeah, it's Come Out and Play.
Okay.
another song that my dad always used to reference that song before I even knew what he was talking about. He would just say something about you got to keep them separated. There's a song on that album. It's actually a cover by some old school punk band from the 70s. I forget the name now. But kind of like Germ style, just like old dirty punk, sloppy. Killboy Powerhead. That's actually one of my favorite tracks on that album.
Okay.
Nitro, the first one, is really good. I could talk about that album for hours, man. I love Smash.
And there's I'm pulling it up that way I can reference it because it's actually not coming up on Apple Music, which I don't know why.
Okay.
I think it might be. It's not under Bon Jovi, actually.
Oh, is it under John Bon Jovi?
It is under John Bon Jovi, which...
Because Crossroads, I think, was a solo album.
Yeah, Crossroads might have been the solo album, and now it's not coming up.
Because John went solo for a while when he did, oh man, why can't I think of the name of the song? From Young Guns 2.
Blaze of Glory.
Blaze of Glory, yes, that's it, thank you.
Yep.
That's a great song. I don't know why I couldn't think of the name of it.
Okay, now the album's not coming up at all, so I don't know what happened, but that
Give
had,
me 1 second.
That had,
Did that have It's My Life on it, or was
no,
that later?
That was, that wasn't until, like, mid-2000s, like, early 2000s.
See, when it comes to Bon Jovi, I am very much a Slippery When Wet, New Jersey kind of guy.
Okay. No, this had a lot of the more ballady type stuff, like Always.
Oh, Crossroads is a compilation. Now I know what you're talking about.
Oh, is it a compilation?
Yeah, it's a greatest hits record.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That explains why I'm having trouble.
We can still talk about it, though, because greatest hits counts.
No, I mean, we're going to be talking about Unplugged, which, I mean, that's not that
technical studio album.
Correct. But no, there's a lot of songs on there, but when Ben started working here at Region Buzz, we were talking about our first concerts, and I was like, I saw Bon Jovi at Soldier Field.
On the Circle Tour.
On the Circle Tour in 2010. Yep. And he was like, I was at that show. I was like, the first day or the second day? He was like, the first day.
Yeah.
And I was like, no shit.
Yeah, because so when I was a little kid, as most kids from the 2000s, other than like my parents playing XRT and stuff in the car and playing all their CDs for me, Rock Band was a big introduction to music for me.
Absolutely. Guitar Hero and Rock Band was huge for me.
I had Rock Band 1 on the Wii, and that's how I first heard Weezer, and I heard Wanted Dead or Alive, and
okay.
I loved Bon Jovi since then, and so when I was like 8 years old, my birthday's in the summer, and so they bought tickets for that for my birthday.
Okay. No, I remember my older brother Jacob. I remember him asking my mom for Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
And him explaining it to my mom. And he was like, yeah, no, it's a guitar controller. And she was like, what do you mean? She had no...
It's like an Xbox controller, but
right,
it's a guitar.
Right, it was, I mean, but like at that point, that was unheard of. Like...
Oh, yeah, peripherals were not a thing.
No, and so I remember him getting it for the PS2.
Yeah.
And I played the living hell out of it. Like, and then it's funny going back and re-listening to, like, I went and replayed a lot of those songs because I have Clone Hero on my computer.
Right.
Which is the unofficial, like, re-release, and you can just download all the songs, and you're able to download the full set list. Except all the songs in, like, Guitar Hero, the first one, and the first one, Rock of the 80s, and the second one, were 95% of the songs were not the original song.
Yeah.
They were all covers because they didn't have the licensing to do that.
Because they didn't have any money back then.
No. I mean, and it's weird because that was Activision, but it was also Red Octane, which was unheard of at the time as well.
But that's why Legends of Rock was so big, because that's when they got actual tracks.
Yeah, Legends of Rock was when they got all the tracking, and then Rock Band came out about the same time. But no, those games had a huge influence on my musical taste, along with a lot of people in our generation of, like, our age range.
Absolutely.
Like, there's a lot of people that I know that would not have listened to this style of music and known a lot of these songs if it wasn't for those games.
Yeah, it was absolutely Rock Band for me, but it was also my parents, because my parents were... my parents are 29 years older than me, and so we just always listen to whatever I don't have any siblings, so we just listen to whatever they we're into. And so that's how I got into Green Day. Dookie was not the first Green Day album I heard, even though it's probably my favorite now. I love that album.
Okay.
Yeah. And then speaking of Rock Band was also, well, I don't know if it was the first time, but it was the first time I can remember hearing Nirvana. In Bloom was on
In Bloom
Rock
was
Band.
on Rock Band. Yes. That's.
And
this is gonna get controversial.
Yeah, this is where Chase and I are gonna piss people off.
We talked about this before.
We agree on this, but
neither of us are huge Nirvana fans. I
love Nirvana's music. I think Nevermind is a great album. However, I think that Temple of the Dog, 10, Bad Motorfinger, and Dirt are all better than Nevermind, and they came out the same year. My beef is with Kurt Cobain. I don't really like Kurt Cobain. We won't get into the whole thing.
That's fair. No,
that being said, Unplugged in New York is a fantastic album.
I think it is their best released
material. And honestly, my favorite tracks, and this is not a diss to Nirvana, because even their originals on this record are amazing, but their covers on this album, man,
phenomenal.
Where Did You Sleep Last Night is insane. Man Who Sold the World is iconic.
Man Who Sold the World. That's what I was listening to with my buddy Devin on the way home from Chicago, and he was like, well, obviously he's heard all this, but he was wondering why I was listening to like just all this stuff in a row, and I was like, man, I'm just trying to get in the groove of this year for the podcast. He was like, oh yeah, you're doing that today. I'm like, yeah, I'm not. I'm prepared, but like, I'm not prepared.
Yeah, Man Who Sold the World, actually, funnily enough, I didn't even know that was a Bowie song until I was like maybe 10 years old.
There's a lot of songs that end up like that, though.
Yeah. Their Meat Puppets covers that they actually brought the Meat Puppets out for, fantastic. And it's sad because nobody really remembers the Meat Puppets. I think the Meat Puppets actually released a record in 1994. Let me check and make sure I'm not wrong. I don't want to.
I ain't gonna lie. I have no idea who the hell you're talking about.
Plateau and Plateau is a cover of a Meat Puppets song.
Okay.
Too High to Die, I believe, came out in 94. I'm looking it up right now, so don't quote me on that yet. But it had a song on it called Backwater that you might have heard of. That one's pretty popular.
Okay.
Really good song. Again, the Meat Puppets are kind of forgotten. They're weird. They're experimental. They're like a psychedelic punk band. Yes, 1994.
Okay.
It was produced by the guitarist of the Butthole Surfers, actually, now that I'm looking that up.
Huh.
Which makes a lot of sense because they're a very similar band.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, I want to move over to the Soundgarden album on the table.
Yes, Super Unknown. Another song that I heard on Rock Band for the first time, Black Hole Sun.
I don't... that is true. Now, I don't remember which version of Rock Band it was. It may have been one of the expansion packs.
Okay.
I think it came with a Soundgarden CD.
Really?
And that might have been my intro to Soundgarden, I believe.
Would it have been 2012? Because they released their last studio album, King Animal, in 2012.
I'm not sure. It's been so long ago. But, no, I mean, Super Unknown is like the Soundgarden album. From
Spoon Man is probably my favorite one.
That's fair. I always liked 4th of July.
Yeah. Let me actually look at the tape because there's so many Soundgarden songs that I actually don't remember what all is on there. Thank you.
So,
all right.
I just pulled up the list. But yeah,
Fell on Black Days. I thought that one was on there. That one's great. The Day I Tried to Live. Yeah. No, I love Soundgarden. Soundgarden is probably second only to Pearl Jam in my mind when it comes to grunge bands.
Yeah. Yeah, Pearl Jam is...
I should probably get back to the mic before I say this.
Yes.
But Pearl Jam released an album in 1994, Vitalogy. I like that record. It's more experimental. I definitely like Ten and Verses more. Ten and Verses have more energy.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't deny that Better Man is a fantastic track.
No, not at all.
Corduroy is one of my favorite Pearl Jam songs. That one's on Vitalogy. Yeah. And then what else do we have on the table? Ooh, Sky Valley by Kiss. That one in the middle. This is actually one of my prized pieces because if you also know me, I'm a huge collector. That is a sealed promo copy. If you look really close, It's sealed, and then if you look really close, it says for promotional use only, not for sale.
Huh.
And that record's kind of a cult classic.
How'd you get your hands on it?
Tom Lounge's record bin, actually. Shout out Tom Lounge's record bin. I'm one of the only people that buys tapes from record stores anymore, you know?
Yeah.
I don't even remember why I started doing it. I think I found my dad's old tapes in the basement, and I just wanted to buy more.
I mean, fair. Like, I always kind of had the itch. I'm like, man, maybe I'll start doing this. And then I never did.
Yeah. So I found that one, and I was familiar with the album, and then I pulled it out, and I saw that it was sealed, and then I saw that it said for promotional use only, and I was like, okay, I have to buy this. But I'm never opening it. I can't bring myself to open it.
No.
Again, because I'm a huge collector. But that album, kind of an underground cult classic now. Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age.
Okay.
It's kind of this what they call desert rock. It's just kind of like stoner, doomy rock is basically what it is. I mean, it's also called stoner rock, so it's just like slow, doomy. Yeah, that's a really cool album. Welcome to Sky Valley.
No,
really good. If you like Queens of the Stone Age, definitely check it out.
Yeah. And then I know we can get into some like lighter stuff because I also believe why am I drawing a blank on their name?
The Cranberries.
The Cranberries. That was one I wanted to make sure we touched upon.
That's not the one with Zombie on it, though?
That is the one with Zombie on it.
It is? Okay, okay. Because it's the one with the white cover with them on the couch, and then there's the black one with them on the couch, and that one has Dreams and Linger on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's the one with Zombie on it. God, Zombie is such a good song.
It is. And a lot of people know that song now because of the Bad Wolves cover.
Which is not bad.
It's not bad.
But the original just has so much more power.
Absolutely.
And if you look at it contextually, I mean, they're banned from Northern Ireland in 1994 singing about war. Like, it's so much more powerful with that context.
Yes, but, I mean, she was supposed to be on that cover.
Yeah, before she tragically overdosed. God, that was years ago at this point.
Right. And now Tommy Vex is no longer in Bad Wolves.
Yeah, but they got a new singer.
They did get a new singer.
And Doc Coyle is an amazingly talented guy. So
yeah, I'm really excited to see what they come up with.
I'm hoping for big things with them.
We have 4 by Blues Traveler.
Ooh, yeah. And who's coming to the Hobart Art Theater?
I know. That's why I wanted to bring that up, because we might be seeing Blues Traveler soon, and that's going to be super cool.
That'll be super cool. Yeah, that's the one with Run Around and Hook on it, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Man, the 90s were such a strange time for music.
They were, because then you have 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah, Downward Spiral.
Downward Spiral came out.
I love 9 Inch Nails. Trent Reznor is like a god to me. I mean, I love 9 Inch Nails. I love everything 9 Inch Nails has ever done. I love anything Trent Reznor's ever done. Downward Spiral is great. Downward Spiral is like Acid Bath, just the only way to describe it is insane and kind of terrifying.
Right.
So funny story about the Downward Spiral. I was like 12 years old, and I actually think it was my mom told me to listen to Pretty Hate Machine, 9 Inch Nails' first album.
Okay.
And I loved it. It was like nothing I had ever heard before, because I wasn't really into electronic music. I was into, guitars and drums and basses, man. I was into metal,
Sure.
And so I listened to Pretty Hate Machine, and I was like, this is like nothing I've ever heard before. This is just noise, but it's musical noise.
Yeah.
And so my mom was like, yeah, the Downward Spiral, there's a song on that album. If you're familiar with the album, you know about the song Closer.
Yes.
So naturally, 12-year-old me went and listened to that song instantly. But yeah, I love 9 Inch Nails, and that album's great.
Yeah. One band that I still don't listen to enough, and I always felt like I should give them a chance, was Bush. Because 16 Stone came out in '94, and that had their, what seems like their biggest hit, Machine Head.
It had most of their hits, honestly.
Right.
I have that one on CD. I just forgot to bring it.
Gotcha. No, I saw them at Rock USA either 2018 or 2019.
Gotcha.
And it was not a set I stayed around for. It was kind of a set that ended up being in between some stuff.
Right.
But they were pretty good still.
Yeah.
And but it wasn't something that, I don't know, it didn't click with me.
Yeah. 16 Stone, a lot of people shit on Bush because they were a British band trying to do the grunge thing 3 years after Nirvana. You know, everybody calls them just a copycat band.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, the hate's unnecessary. 16 Stone is a really good album. So I heard that album because I was familiar with Bush because my parents got Sirius XM in the car when I was like 11, and so listening to Lithium, I always heard Machine Head and Glycerine and all that stuff. And then I was cleaning out the basement with my parents before we were gonna finish it and turn it into what's now my room. And I found, like a treasure trove of old CDs from college and stuff. And 16 Stone was in there, and so I listened to that one. And it's a very good album. Glycerine is probably my favorite song on that album. I really like that song.
Gotcha.
Machine Head's good. Everything Zen. Everything Zen is actually another one of my favorites.
I need to give them more of a chance, but they just used to not click with me.
They've changed. They're kind of like an alt metal band now. It's odd.
Are they? I didn't know they were still releasing music.
Yeah, they dropped one last year, I think. And
really?
It's very different from what they've done before. I would not say it's bad. I would say it's pretty good, but it's
Gotcha. So take a listen to that, I guess, if you haven't heard that.
Yeah.
And we were talking earlier how there were things all over the place with 94.
Yes.
Ill Communication came out.
Oh, man. Sabotage, another one from Rock Band.
Right. I say we're touching up on a lot of songs that were in Rock Band. And
yeah.
Yeah, no, like Beastie Boys, that was a genre, like, jump.
I love the Beastie Boys, and I kind of always have. Even back when I wasn't really into rap, I thought that License to Ill Communication. It was the shit. Yeah, the Beastie Boys. The Beastie Boys know what they were doing.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
They started as a hardcore punk band, and if you can find those hardcore punk demos, they actually have a compilation on Apple Music. I don't know if it's on Spotify. I think it's just called Some Old Bullshit or something, and it has a bunch of their hardcore punk songs.
Okay.
Yeah, it's totally different from what you hear a couple years later on License to Ill. But the Beastie Boys just punk, rap, metal. They actually have Kerry King on. It's not on Ill Communication, but they have Kerry King on Fight for Your Right to Party. He plays the solo.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that song also wasn't meant to be taken like seriously.
Yeah, no,
they hated that.
Yeah.
Blew up.
Yeah, no.
But that was not a thing that was uncommon. I mean, there's so many bands that they change their sound or they do a song just for the hell of it, and for some reason that's what blows up, and they're like, no.
Yeah. Another album from '94, kind of going back to Bush, that you probably haven't heard of, and being familiar with this one also comes from my parents being in college in '94, is Candlebox.
No, I'm not.
Candlebox is pretty good. Kind of the same realm as Bush. A lot of people shit on them for being grunge 3 years too late. But You and Far Behind are on that album. Came out in '94. Very good songs.
And then Purple by Stone Temple Pilots.
Yes. I am not a huge Stone Temple Pilots fan.
No, it's weird because I think at some point I have listened to all of the albums. Like
I probably have.
Like at some point I have listened to all of them because I used to just start playing albums in my car, just letting them go.
Yep.
And I never minded them.
Yeah.
But then years went by and Scott Weiland left and went to Velvet Revolver.
Yes, with Slash.
He might have had something else after that.
I don't remember. I'm only aware of Stone Temple.
And then I believe he came back to Stone Temple.
Yes.
I believe he came back and then he passed away.
Yes, I remember when that happened, actually.
Yeah, and then Chester Bennington of Linkin Park took over.
Yeah.
And I've seen live videos of that, and that
amazing.
Amazing. That, man, I can't wait till we get to a year when we can start talking about that, because I have so much to talk about, because they were such a huge influence on my musical taste. But then I have no idea who their new singer is.
Jeff Gutt, I think his name is. That
okay.
Sounds familiar. I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere.
It was Rock USA 2018. It was the last day.
Oh,
and
boy.
They were the band just before Shinedown, which was the headliner of the whole festival last day.
Okay.
And it was Stone Temple Pilots, then them. I'm watching this Stone Temple Pilots set. And it was I could not stand his voice.
Really?
It was, I don't know what it was, but it was just not good. And I don't know if that was just because I knew Stone Temple Pilots with Scott Weiland.
Right.
Or if it was actually bad. And also, it was a live setting.
Yeah, I mean, live settings are never as good.
No. And I left to go to the party tent because Saving Abel was in party tent. And that was one of the best sets I have ever seen. There was so much energy in that set for some reason in that small party tent.
So shout out Stone Temple Pilots for sending Chase to the party tent.
Yeah, no.
Oh, man. That's a story.
No, it's...
So, bands on this table that I've seen. The only one is Green Day.
Okay.
And I saw Green Day 3 times on the Revolution Radio Tour.
Really?
Yeah, so I saw them the first time. They played the Aragon Ballroom. It was the first time I ever went to the Aragon. I was 14, and me and my dad went. It sold out in fan club pre-sale. I mean, it was insane. And they only did old shit. I mean, they did shit off 1039 Smoothed Out Slappy Hours. They did shit off Kerplunk. Like, they went deep.
Really?
They only did old stuff.
That's cool.
And that was awesome. Great first show to see at the Aragon.
Oh, yeah.
And I love the Aragon ever since then. One of my favorite venues. I've seen Mastodon there, Ghost. Great venue. And then, because I was going to try to go with a bunch of my friends because all my friends love Green Day, but they only would give you 2 tickets. That's how quickly this sold out. You could only buy 2 tickets, and it still sold out just in pre-sale.
That's crazy.
Ridiculous. I mean, it was insane. I mean, it's Green Day at a venue like the Aragon, which is, 5,000 people?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah,
No, that's not a big venue. I mean, they're doing Wrigley this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Awful.
Yeah.
Concert venue.
I'm not a stadium concert fan.
Well,
Clubs 100%.
I mean, yes, but like, we saw them at Soldier Field. We saw Bon Jovi at Soldier Field.
That was decent.
That was a decent setup.
Yeah.
Wrigley Field is not a good venue.
I've never seen shows there.
I saw Fall Out Boy, Rise Against, and MGK there.
Okay. That's an eclectic lineup, but I remember that tour.
Yeah, because it was Fall Out Boy and MGK. That was the tour.
Right.
But Rise Against, I believe, was also on tour. And they are from Chicago.
Right. That's kind of disappointing because Rise Against are kind of like hometown heroes for us Chicagolanders, you know.
Well,
so seeing them
home. So is Fall Out Boy.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about Fall Out Boy.
Yeah, Fall Out Boy's also
I forgot about that. I always forget about that.
So they brought it into one show, and Rise Against did not get a long enough set.
I love those guys.
That's June 4th is now Rise Against Day in Chicago.
Yes.
Thank you,
Lori Lightfoot
yes. For making that happen.
Yes.
Don't know why. I might have to look into it, but I've only seen things on Facebook about it. But no, man, we got off track.
Wrigley.
Wrigley, yes. Yeah. Just not a good venue.
Yeah, I've never seen a show there.
I don't recommend it.
So then the second Green Day show I saw, we went down to U of I and saw them at what's now the State Farm Center. It used to be Assembly Hall, and we saw them there. Me and 3 of my friends and my parents drove down there, saw them on like the first because the first leg of the Revolution Radio Tour was just club shows like what I saw at the Aragon, and they were only doing old stuff. So I managed to see that, and then the actual tour kind of started. And so I saw them down at University of Illinois in Champaign at I think it's the State Farm Center now. And then I saw them again because my friend Cornelius, who loves Green Day, I've already mentioned him. He loved Green Day, and so he had tickets to see them in Noblesville, Indiana. And I wasn't going to go because, I mean, he had an extra ticket. And I wasn't going to go because I already saw him twice. And, you know, I mean, I love Green Day, but I already saw him twice on the same tour, you know?
Right.
It was the day before, I think it was the day before my sophomore year of high school started. So I wasn't going to go, but he couldn't get anybody else to go. And so finally he was like, Ben, do you want to go? And I was like, I mean, this was like that morning he texted me and was like, do you want to go? And I was like, yo, Mom, free Green Day tickets. And she's like, okay, sure, whatever, you know.
Right. I was going to say, like, at that point, you just kind of have to go.
I don't know if you know this story, because this is like a legendary story to me.
No, I don't think I do.
So it was me, Cornelius, his brother-in-law, and his brother-in-law's friend.
Okay.
And so we drove down there. We missed the opener, which was Catfish in the Bottlemen, but again, I was really it was last minute, so it was whatever. We get there, and we walk in, and his brother-in-law's friend turns around and he goes, "Yeah, I just bought you guys pit tickets." And we're like, "Wait a minute, what?" He's like, "Yeah, I bought just you two general admission tickets." I'm like, "Well, shit." And he's like, "Go have fun." And so, we're late, so we're at the back of the pit.
Right.
But we're just having a great time. And then maybe 3 songs into the set, this woman turns around and she's like, "You guys deserve to be at the front row. Let's go." And so she grabs our hands and drags us to the front row. And so we're at the railing seeing Green Day. And
That's crazy.
They do, I think it was their encore. They're doing Jesus of Suburbia, all 10 minutes. And Corny turns to me and he goes, "You want to crowd surf?" I'm like, "Shit, yeah." So he taps the guy next to him and he's like, "Hey, help me pick my buddy up." So they grab my legs, swing me up. My head almost hits the concrete, swing me up, and then I'm in the air.
Yep.
And then Corny followed me. So, yeah, I can't believe I never told you that story, because I love telling that story. But, yeah, that was the 3rd time I saw Green Day.
I've crowd surfed a couple times.
That was the only time I've ever done it. Only time.
Yeah, no, I did it at Warped Tour 2018 during Simple Plan.
Mm.
I did it at, I want to say Real Friends at House of Blues.
Okay.
And I think there was one more time, but I don't remember.
See, you're a big festival circuit guy, and I've never seen a single festival.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm a big festival guy. I hit Rock USA 2 years, and then Warped Tour.
Still bigger festival guy than me.
Fair. But I haven't been to any of the big ones in Chicago, like Riot Fest.
Well, Lollapalooza isn't worth going to anymore.
No, unless it was like back in '94, which we're talking about.
Yeah. Riot Fest this year, I really wanted to go. I really wanted to get 3-day passes because the lineup is just insane.
Yes.
But 3-day passes are sold out, and you can only get them resale for $400. And I'll be living in the city when it happens. Yeah. I'll be down there for college.
No, I thought about it, and I was like, I can't. And then I saw they were sold out. I was like, that makes the decision a little easier.
Well, and Sunday, so 3-day passes, when I looked, 3-day passes on Sunday were sold out. And Sunday is the day 9 Inch Nails is playing. And again, you know me.
Right.
If I was going to see any band on that lineup, it would be 9 Inch Nails. But
no, absolutely. No, but one festival I do want to hit, it won't be this year, but I think next year, depending on if I end up going to the recording workshop over the summer, Louder Than Life. In Kentucky.
Yeah.
Because my roommate Andy,
yes,
his family lives in Kentucky now.
Gotcha.
And so it would be a nice, like, even if we were to able to like just stop there for a day, just to do whatever. But I'm pretty sure it's camping anyway, so I don't think.
Yeah.
But I know so many people in between there. But that festival lineup that was stacked when you showed me that.
Yeah, I don't remember everyone that was on there, but I think Metallica was headlining twice.
Yes, they had 2 separate nights.
Yeah.
That is. And over the past couple years, I think Metallica has done that.
Yes.
I've seen that come up a couple times, and I just couldn't imagine, like, 2 full Metallicas.
2 full nights of Metallica.
Like,
I mean,
that's crazy.
I would love to see it. I'm a huge Metallica fanboy, but for those guys, like, physically doing that?
Oh, that's got to be...
insane.
Yeah, because they are...
James has got to be 60 now.
Right.
Yeah, just...
No,
yeah.
And actually another album we didn't talk about now that I'm going through is... Oh my god, I don't know how to pronounce this. It's the Smashing Pumpkins album.
Oh, yeah.
Pisces... Or Pisces... Iscariot?
Pisces Iscariot.
Iscariot. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Smashing Pumpkins, or take it or leave it for me.
Yeah.
Again, Chicago band. Shout out Chicago bands always. But
I actually didn't know they were a Chicago band.
Yes, they're one of the Chicago bands. Yeah.
Okay. No, I've always known them as one of those bands that were hit or miss for everybody. I don't think I've ever met anybody that is like, yeah, I kind of like them. I feel like it's like I like them or I don't.
I like some of their songs. And I just, again, just like with Nirvana, I do this with a lot of bands. I love their music, but I just cannot stand Billy Corgan. And, I mean, Smashing Pumpkins has good songs. Bullet with Butterfly Wings and Disarm are great songs. 1979, I cannot stand. Today, I could never hear that song again and be perfectly happy. You know, like, they're just one of those bands that, like, they have really good songs and then they have god-awful songs. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, you sound very passionate about it. And then, actually, I like this album a lot better than a lot of their shit, especially compared to, like, their more known songs.
Okay.
Definitely Maybe by
yes.
Oasis.
I like that. I'm not a huge Oasis fan. Another band that just... I've heard Wonderwall so many times.
That's the thing.
I do not like Champagne Supernova.
No.
But,
like...
Don't Look Back in Anger is on that record, right? Or is that also What's the Story, Morning Glory?
That might be that. No,
Okay.
this is like Shaker Maker, Live Forever,
Yep. Live
Supersonic.
One. Yeah, I like that album. I like
Supersonic.
Blur. I like Blur more than Oasis, though.
That's true.
Park Life.
That did come out in 94.
Yes.
And, you know, as much as I love Gorillaz,
Yeah.
I wish that Blur was still a thing.
Blur is better than the Gorillaz. I do like the Gorillaz. Don't get me wrong. I love the Gorillaz.
No, I do too.
But Blur, yeah.
But for the genre that I typically listen to, for those who don't know, the lead singer of Blur.
Damon Albarn. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
I say you know so much more in-depth stuff.
Yeah, I know random
That's
shit like that.
wild. But no, he is the lead singer of Gorillaz.
Yes.
And so...
Yeah, he's kind of just a mastermind.
He is.
Blur, so Park Life, that's a song that me and the boys, you know, Billy and Justin, shout out Billy and Justin if you guys are watching this.
Baka Baka.
Yeah, Baka Baka. Anyway.
Nobody's going to get that.
I can't believe we just did that. Anyway, when I first started hanging out with them like 2-3 years ago, God, it was 3 years ago at this point almost. Jesus Christ. Anyway, great guys. Park Life was a song that they introduced me to, and that song is hilarious. If you've never heard it, it's like a spoken word piece that's then intercut with the chorus of Park Life. But he's just talking about going about his day in, I imagine, London. Dude with a super thick British accent. He's talking about how he's afraid of the pigeons on his walk. Like, it's just a ridiculous song, but it's a great song. I love that song. Girls and Boys is on that album, too.
Yep.
That one was on Lego Rock Band. That was my introduction to Blur.
Really?
Yep.
No, my introduction to Blur, and I'll never forget it too, was on the PS2 as a game called SingStar.
Yes, I've heard of that one.
Yes, because Song 2.
Yeah.
And SingStar was super cool because it always had the music video playing in the background.
Oh, yeah.
So that was actually how I saw a lot of my music videos. Between that and then obviously MTV in the early 2000s when it was still vaguely because that died off like 2000s.
So the way I saw a lot of music videos, and this actually more 80s, but it goes into one of the bands on this table at least.
So we're recording these kind of late. I'm getting a little tired.
Yeah. VH1 used to run blocks of old music videos.
That's true. I did see a lot of VH1.
And so when I was in middle school, I would watch Metal Madness. And that's how I first heard Queensryche, which is on this table.
Okay.
And is on this arm, Operation Mindcrime. That we won't talk about that album until we get to 1988.
Gotcha.
But Promised Land, that album's okay. I mean, it's not the Queensryche that I love. It's kind of more mellow, Pink Floyd influenced. But it's not a bad record.
Okay. And then I'm sorry that we completely skipped over it. We did not talk about the Pantera.
Pantera, yes. Far Beyond Driven.
That...
heaviest number one selling record of all time.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, it was. I think it might have debuted at number one. Yeah. Let me look at this one real quick.
No, because...
Strength Beyond Strength, Becoming, 5 Minutes. God, just looking at this is like looking at almost the greatest hits. I mean, obviously, other than... all of their albums have fantastic songs.
As much as I love Pantera, I like Glamtera.
Yeah, Glamtera. That'll be an interesting conversation.
Yes.
My favorite Phil Anselmo project, actually, is Down.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've ever heard Down.
I have
Down
not.
actually might have come out in 1994. I don't know. It's kind of, you ever heard Corrosion of Conformity?
I don't believe so.
Okay, so going back to Sky Valley, kind of like slow, sludgy, southern rock kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's what Down is. That's what Corrosion of Conformity is. Ooh, Blind by Corrosion of Conformity, I think, came out in 94. God, I got to look up all these records. Corrosion of Conformity is another one I found in my basement, cleaning out the basement. But Down is my favorite Phil Anselmo project.
Blind is 91.
91, damn it. Okay. No, I know which one it is. I'm blanking on the name right now, but it's got the song Albatross on it, which is like their biggest song. Deliverance. Oh man, I have that one on tape.
I'm sorry. What's the name of the song?
Albatross. Yeah.
Is that anywhere correlated with Albatrice?
Yes, that's where it comes from.
Okay. That was the working title.
That was the working title for an instrumental on our upcoming album. Oh, I just knocked that over. It was the working title. It was never really the title, but
no, I just knew that is what it was called.
Yeah, so that song is called Albatross, and one of the lines is "Albatross, fly on." And so Justin didn't know what an albatross was. I don't know if Billy knew either. And so we looked up a picture of an albatross, and they're these gigantic birds. We always used to joke that the line should be "big ass bird, fly on," because they're massive. Okay, yeah.
Odd.
And so Justin was like, what's the plural of albatross? Albatrices? And so it just became a running joke.
Okay.
Deliverance. I had that one on tape. I should have brought that one. I'm an idiot. Corrosion of Conformity is really good.
Gotcha.
They actually have an album, Wise Blood, 1996. James Hetfield featured on that one.
Okay.
God, I got sidetracked. I'm still trying to look up Down. Oh, Down's first album, New Orleans, Louisiana, came out in 95, so I was off by a year.
Gotcha, okay.
But yeah, anyway, Far Beyond Driven, Strength Beyond Strength, Becoming, 5 Minutes Alone, I'm Broken, Good Friends and a Bottle of Pills, that one is slept on, actually.
Yeah.
Shedding Skin, their cover of Planet Caravan. I remember seeing that music video actually on Metal Madness. Weird music video, weird song.
Let's see here, because I know I'm like going through Spotify now, because there were so many that we knew we were like, we have to talk about this one at least, like bring it up.
Yeah.
Mellow Gold.
Oh, by Beck, yeah.
Yes.
Loser.
Loser was the title track on that one.
I am personally not a huge Beck fan, but
I respect what he.
Yeah, he was experimental.
What he carved out.
You've seen the Futurama episode where Bender plays Washburn.
Yes.
Yeah. Last record on the table that we have not talked about, at least in passing, Mayhem.
No, that's right.
That album, objectively, not great. It's kind of a mess. Production is sloppy.
I've never really listened to Mayhem.
I wouldn't actually recommend it. I own the album mostly for the history and novelty of the album. You're familiar with the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for those of you who are unfamiliar with heavy metal history, as most of you probably are, Mayhem was a band from Norway, and they are controversial to say the least. The abridged version is the bassist on that album went to jail for murdering the guitarist. It's not a great record. I will say that. It's interesting.
Okay.
It's interesting to hear. It's a mess.
Yeah.
It's sloppy. The production's not very good. You can't really hear the bass. But it's an interesting album knowing the history. Funny story about that copy of that album. I got it from Eugene's Record Co-op in Traverse City, Michigan. Shout out Eugene's Record.
Yeah, you're doing what I was doing earlier now.
Eugene's Record Co-op. My parents and I were in Traverse City for my birthday, and we went to one record store, RPM Records, also a great record store if you're ever in the Traverse City area, and I got an original copy of Operation Mindcrime.
Okay.
My favorite album, obviously. And then we went to Eugene's Record Co-op, which is, you kind of have to, there's signs on the street to find it. It's in a basement. It's also a venue.
Okay.
And they had a Charles Manson album. Charles Manson recorded music. He lived with one of the Beach Boys, not Brian, The other one, I'm blanking on his name.
I'm not familiar with them by name, but
yeah, he lived with one of them and recorded music, and so I'm a big true crime fan. I find abnormal psychology fascinating. So we went home, and it's like a 5-hour drive, so I'm not just gonna go out to Traverse City to get a record, right?
Right.
But I looked up the phone number and I called them because I just could not get this record out of my head. I was like, damn, I should have bought that album. It would be such a cool thing to have, Even if it's not that good, it would be super interesting to have.
Right.
And my parents and I watched a documentary on Charles Manson, and they were playing some of his music, and I was like, man, I really wish I bought that record. So I looked it up, and I called Eugene's Record Co-op. I'm like, do you guys still have the Charles Manson record? And I also looked at their Instagram page and saw that they had that one.
Okay.
So I called, and I was like, do you guys still have Charles Manson? And he's like, let me go check. He comes back. He's like, no, we don't. And I'm like, okay, what about Mayhem? I saw that one. He's like, yeah, we still have that one. I was like, okay, I'll order that one. So I ordered that one online. Cause,
okay.
It's not great, technically speaking.
Right.
But it's interesting to hear and to have.
Okay. No, I'll definitely take a listen to it then for sure.
Yeah.
One album that I know I've listened to all the way through, and I've never been a huge fan.
Okay.
But my buddy, actually, he was the guitarist in one of my other bands a few years ago, and I still talk to him. I actually just ran into him when he was at Walmart. Ricky Takis, Euthanasia.
Ah, Megadeth.
Yes.
Yes.
Never usually been huge on them, but I remember one day we were talking about learning Adulaman.
Yeah.
And I never did.
Euthanasia's good. In the Megadeth versus Metallica debate, I've always been a Metallica guy.
Yeah, I definitely fell towards that side.
I do really like Megadeth, though. No disrespect to Dave Mustaine. I think he's extremely talented.
Absolutely. When we have an opinion, we're not like just shitting on.
Yeah.
Like we've been doing this whole show, but
yeah.
No, for Megadeth, I give respect to that whole band, except for
Dave Ellefson.
Yeah, let's.
Talented guy, but let's just not touch on that.
No. You can read about it anywhere right now.
Yeah, Megadeth. I like Megadeth. I think they kind of get caught up too much in the let's be as technical and fast as possible.
That's always what I felt like it was just so like.
Yeah.
There.
Marty Friedman is insanely talented, though. That dude can play, man. Jesus Christ, he can play. Just absolutely insane. I mean, trying to learn the solos off of Rust in Peace is something. Absolutely something. Marty Friedman, insane.
Did we touch on Collective Soul?
No, we did not.
Hints, Allegations, and Things Left Unsaid was released in 94.
Yeah, that's a very 90s album.
That is a very 90s album. In a Moment, Love Lifted Me.
Mm-hmm.
I Know Goodnight, Good Guy. Breathe, Scream.
Let's see.
Burning Bridges. No, I've heard a lot of those. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I've always heard them on the radio.
I would say nothing that's ever been in my playlist, but it came up in my playlist radio.
Yeah.
I should listen to some of them too, because I don't know. And that's kind of why I was hoping that where this was going to go, with us bouncing stuff
that you
back
should listen
and forth.
To, yeah.
Yeah, just picking up on new things from each year.
Another thing that came out in 94, The Crow.
Yes. I didn't get a chance to watch it after we talked about it.
Yeah, I've seen it. I have it on DVD, so we'll have to watch it at some point.
I'll let you dive into that soundtrack.
Yeah, because that soundtrack is like tailor-made for me.
Right.
So if you're unfamiliar with The Crow, infamous because Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee's son, was tragically killed during the filming. Mm-hmm. Something went wrong with the prop gun, and he was actually shot during the filming. But they went ahead and finished the movie because they felt that was what Brandon would want them to do. It's a great movie. It's based on a comic book, which I actually just bought. I plan on reading it.
Really?
Yeah, right now I'm in the middle of reading all of the Hannibal Lecter books. But when I'm done with those...
Really?
Yeah, when I'm done with those...
How's that going?
Interesting. They're great books.
I've always heard that they were.
Super, super fascinating, even more so in the movies.
Usually are. Kind of like how Stephen King books are always better than the movies.
The movies are great.
Yes.
I love the movies, but the books are just they go much more into the psychology, and so if you're into it for that,
absolutely.
Anyway, getting sidetracked again. So The Crow is based on a comic book from I think '88 or '89. Back when comic book movies were like edgy and dark, before all comic book movies were the same. But it's the soundtrack is all over the place, man. The movie is very much gothic. It's got a very gothic atmosphere.
Let me look this up.
The Cure, 9 Inch Nails covering Joy Division, Rollins Band, Rage, Pantera, Jesus and Mary Chain, My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult, another Chicago band. Just wild soundtrack. It's a great soundtrack. The scene with the Cure song Burn is probably one of the most iconic scenes in the movie. The movie also, outside of the fantastic soundtrack, kind of relates to music because if you're unfamiliar with it, the plot is Brandon Lee is a musician, and him and his fiancée are killed by a gang, and he is brought back to life as like a supernatural being to kill those that killed him and his wife. So it's tied into music. He's a musician. We'll have to watch that movie at some point.
Yeah,
that's a fantastic movie.
Absolutely.
Great atmosphere, great acting. Rest in peace, Brandon Lee, because he definitely had potential seeing that movie.
No, 100%. All right, so we are coming up on the end of our 60 minutes that we have allocated.
Wow, we are, yeah. And there's so much that I guarantee we wanted to talk about, but we forgot.
Right, and so
we got sidetracked.
If you are watching on our Region Buzz 219 Facebook page, if you are watching on the Region Buzz 219 YouTube page, go ahead and in the comments, leave any Elm's opinions, anything that we may have missed, or start a discussion down there. Tell us that we're wrong.
Yeah, tell us we're wrong. We want to hear why we're wrong.
Right. No, we wanted this to be controversial. We didn't want to really sugarcoat anything.
Because our opinions are. I'm a very opinionated person. I know Chase is too.
Right, so. And when it comes to music, everyone should be.
Yeah.
And so I still would like to hear what everyone else has to say about.
Yeah.
What we have talked about, albums we've missed, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then at the end of each of these episodes, I was going to do the random year generated.
Yes, let's
which
do that.
I have done.
Okay, and what is it?
We're just jumping 10 years later.
2004?
2004.
American Idiot, baby!
I was going to say, we got American Idiot. We have... Oh, hold on. Here we go. We get Velvet Revolver. You see, this is more my speed. I'm going to be all over this one. We got Sugarcoat. We got Rise Against, Sum 41, My Chemical Romance, Papa Roach, Breaking Benjamin, Alter Bridge, Crossfades album, Jimmy Eat World, The Killers.
Oh my God, Hot Fuss. I can't wait to talk about that album. The 90s is kind of where Chase and I overlap on music taste. Mm-hmm. Once we get into the 80s, oh man, I can't wait.
Say that's all you. I hit like the late 90s, early 2000s to 2010s because I always like the pop punk, the new metal. Mm-hmm. New metal is still my shit. Industrial, like later industrial, heavy metal, modern metal, hard rock.
Yeah.
All up in that, but I do get into a lot of 80s.
Oh yeah,
I love me some hair metal.
Oh man, I love me some thrash metal and some hair metal, and I love me some new wave. So I really can't wait to talk about the 80s. And we're going as far back as 1966, so we'll get to talk about Zepp, we'll get to talk about the Doors and all that psych rock, early hard rock. We'll talk about Dylan. So
right. It's gonna be all over the place. And at some point we do plan on having a guest host here on the occasion with us to talk about some of these things. So if you are interested in this podcast and what we are doing and you want to appear on this show with us, leave it in the comments, or if you're hearing this on Spotify or wherever else this may be, we are still working out the details with that. Private message us at the Region Buzz 219 Facebook page because we would love to have you. We want to be able to get this outreach as much as possible.
Yeah.
Because if we're planning on doing this weekly and releasing them on Mondays.
Yes. So.
But with it being 1966, we got about a year of these. A little over a year.
I mean, 66 to
20 something. So we got about 60 years.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
have
So
like
we have a little over a year.
We have a little over a year.
When I go to college, we'll be switching to a
we
Zoom
might be
type format.
Yeah, we'll figure that out when it.
But we plan on keeping this going for a while.
But this has been OCD-60, hosted right here at Region Buzz 219, and we will hopefully see you guys next week.
Yes.
And we will be talking about the year 2004.
I got to do some listening.
Yeah, that's our week's homework.
Yeah.
So everyone, if you're listening to this on your drive to work, listening at home, drive safe, stay safe, and we'll hear from you guys next week.
Peace, everybody.